You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. This podcast is filmed in front of a live studio audience and contains coarse language. Could it be any more spoilery about a 25-year-old sitcom? Hello everybody and welcome to the one where we watched a Friends rewatch podcast. That's right, I'm Billy.
And I'm Newsk. What the hell was that?
That's our intro music.
You just had that ready to go?
I sure did.
Yikes.
I don't do things by half, Newsk.
I know.
And here we are. We have been watching Friends. Let me ask you this. When was the first time you watched Friends? Do you remember? Did you see the pilot live?
Oh, I don't remember seeing the pilot live. I just have memories of being 7 years old and sitting on my family room floor. You know, someone had to sit on the floor so you could get up and change the channels.
Yeah, we're showing our age here. Yeah, kids. Yeah. TVs used to be real fat.
And small.
Yeah.
Really small.
We're millennials, elder millennials.
Shocker.
So
we are millennials doing a Friends rewatch podcast.
Well, yeah, so we grew up with Friends. We were the generation that grew up with it. Mm-hmm. And I cannot tell you how many, I mean, you know, because you live with me, but I cannot tell you people out there how many times I have watched Friends. Friends, to me, is like chicken noodle soup. It's just so comforting. Even the terrible episodes or yes, it's incredibly dated now, but I can just put it on at any time and it just makes me feel so much better.
Yep. Especially after that time you saw Up at the cinema.
Oh my God, I bawled my eyes out and all I could do was watch Friends to try and stop crying.
Not just bawled your eyes out at the start of Up, which is heartbreaking.
No, it didn't stop.
You kept going.
Oh, that
You
movie.
kept being like, and then started hyperventilating again.
That movie wrecked me.
And I was like, it's okay. It's all right. We're just going to go home to our apartment, the apartment days.
That
and watch
movie
Friends.
Absolutely wrecked me. Yeah. So this week we're here to talk about the pilot, which aired on September 22nd, 1994. It was written by Marta Kaufman and David Crane. Here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that this is the only episode to not have the word one in the title?
Oh, the one.
Yeah.
The where. Yeah, because every episode is called The One Where.
Well, no. Okay, so there's 4 episodes that don't have where or when or which is the last one, the 100th, and the one that could have been. They're the only ones that don't have the one where or the one when. And this episode, of course, is just called Pilot. It did have 2 alternate titles, though, which were used at various times. Yeah. So even though this is just officially called the pilot, after the last episode aired, it was sometimes aired as the first one.
Oh, to
align with the final being the last one, yeah. And sometimes it was referred to
for the DVD box sets.
Yes, and sometimes it was referred to as the one where Monica gets a roommate.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but official title is Pilot.
The Pilot,
yeah. So unimaginative, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Get your shit together. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to try and give a synopsis of this episode in 1 minute. Are you ready?
I don't think it's going to be hard. It's as your good friend Toph used to say, TV by numbers.
All right, well, let's see about that. All right, we are introduced to 4 friends. We've got Monica, Chandler, Phoebe, and Joey. They're sitting around a coffee shop when Monica's brother Ross comes in complaining that his wife has left him because she's now a lesbian. And he's very sad about that. He's very bitter. And then a woman runs in a wedding dress. We discover that this is Rachel. She used to go to school with Monica. They used to be best friends, and she's run out on her wedding day. So lots of weddings going awry. And then Monica goes on a date with Paul the wine guy. She sleeps with Paul the wine guy. Ross and Chandler and Joey try to move all of his stuff out of his apartment. There's some really, really cheesy stuff going on with Rachel. And then she gets a job at the coffee shop, and I think I covered everything. I did it in under a minute. 45 seconds. You were right. That was pretty easy.
Yeah. Not a lot happens in these episodes. And I say that as a true beloved Friends fan. I treasure it, but I looked back and this pilot is terrible. I mean, I've seen it so many times. Normally I skip the pilot because I actually don't find it very good.
Yeah, well, okay, well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you still not find this episode good?
No. I mean, like...
I think it has its moments. It's definitely got its merits.
It has its moments, for
You can
sure.
already see the seeds of why this show became as big as it is.
I guess, yeah. It, like, to me, it shows us, man, we were total chumps back then in the 90s. We were just like, yeah, let's lap up this, like, TV by numbers sitcom rom-com type situation and sign me up.
You know what the
Says
weirdest...
me who still watches it endlessly all the time.
The weirdest thing to me rewatching this tonight was seeing the opening theme without clips from the show.
Yeah,
Is this the only time that ever happened in the full, like, 200 episode run? It's so strange to see that opening now.
And they're so young. They're such
so
babies.
young. Oh my God, Joey's hair is the worst thing ever.
And all that clothing has come back now. I'm like, that's fashionable.
Really?
That's fashionable. Yeah.
See, I'm so unfashionable that I don't even know what used to be fashionable and is again.
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously, each sort of character, I guess, somewhat has their own style.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of those things, like the vests, the stupid sunglasses, the little like turtleneck sort of top Jennifer Aniston wears, the flowy skirts, the like, oh, it's all coming back.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't have a body to pull it off anymore. Stupid children.
So
those are our children.
Apart from the opening feeling really strange, though, I was surprised by how much I liked the start of this pilot. Mm-hmm. Because I think, we're 4 years post Seinfeld here, which was the start of the kind of, you can have a show about people doing nothing.
You mean post the start of Seinfeld?
Yeah. Seinfeld started in 89 and we're now 4 years post that.
Great year. Good year. Lots of good things happened.
Just ask Taylor Swift.
Hey! I was born before her.
But yeah, so I was really actually surprised, and I had forgotten how much of this pilot felt more like that. Like, I really like that we get virtually no introduction to these characters to start with. We literally start the episode mid-conversation. They're sitting around a coffee shop just kind of talking about nothing.
Yeah, and it kind of cuts back and forth to, like, throughout the day where they're just sitting around kind of bored. Like,
I forgot, like, I've seen this show so many times, but you're right, I tend to skip honestly most of season one. Generally we hit shuffle and then wherever it starts we just keep watching from there. So like season one is actually the season I've seen the least of, because it is more dated. We tend to skip it. But yeah, I was really surprised by how much this show kind of bridged that gap between earlier sitcoms or even later 90s sitcoms where we went back to that real premise of the situational comedy, stuff like Just Shoot Me, where it's like, this is a workplace comedy and that's what this is. This kind of bridges the gap between that and Seinfeld, where it has more of an ongoing through line, but there's a lot of just sitting around doing nothing. Yeah,
that's my favourite parts of the show, always. And the sort of, I mean, the friendships are supposed to be fully formed, except for Jennifer Aniston, who's, the new one.
Yeah.
But that's always my favourite part of Friends, and that's what, like, is comforting and cheers me up, is those sorts of random conversations. And, when you're in your early 20s and you can just, like, have your friends hang out all weekend. You've got no responsibilities and you've got no dependents, and people can just stay the night and stay all day and stay all weekend. And, you just have like these random conversations, and occasionally you'll get up and someone will cook something and, and like, and you go to work at random hours, and then your friend Joey's like, well, you're all sitting around here at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday. No wonder your bosses don't like you. Sorry, skipping ahead.
You're skipping way ahead. But I know exactly what you're saying. And I think that is where I watched this pilot and I know why it became as big as it did. Because apart from that central premise, what really, really works about Friends and what is so comforting is the cast and the characters. Yeah. I think
and the fact that they were all quite close friends, I think, I mean, it's obviously not translating across in the pilot. That's the first time they're together. But it definitely helped in seasons to come that they were a tight-knit cast.
They do all have incredible chemistry, though. And I think
but one of my notes here is that chemistry ?
Really?
They are laying it on so thick. Like, he's like, oh, I just wish I could. Sorry, this is Ross. In case you couldn't tell from my pathetic voice.
Ross Geller, the original emo.
Oh my God, he's so fucking annoying.
He's more emo than Robert Smith. He is like
100%.
He's like if My Chemical Romance and The Cure had 10 emo children and then they had even more emo inbred children and it was just like as emo as you can get.
He's just so annoying. I'm like, yeah, all right, okay, fair enough, your marriage is falling apart, but he just annoys me, which is not to say I don't love Ross later, but early Ross is not my favourite person. Hang on, what were we talking about? Chemistry, sorry. Like, he literally says, who could I even ask out? Who could I even...
Okay.
And then we cut...
Yeah, to her sitting
Rachel,
by the window. Okay.
And there's always the sitting by the window and the music
let
playing.
me say this. As much as I love and adore Friends, one thing that Friends does not do well, for me at least, and never did, is emotional beats.
Oh, yeah. They're so...
Yeah,
cringy.
I mean, we get it. I'm sure that you've written a note about like the final line of this episode as well,
I grabbed a spoon.
It's
almost
the same.
as better.
Good night, Mr. Heckles. We'll try to keep it down.
Which one's worse?
Oh my God,
it's hard to say.
Neither of them are as bad as I've got magic beans.
I've got magic beans.
Whenever Friends tries to do an emotional beat, it very, very, very rarely works.
But as you know, the worst for me is emotional Chandler. I'm like, stop that. That's not your core personality. Stop that now.
So, I mean, when Chandler was originally written, both him and Phoebe were not supposed to be core friends. They were both supposed to be side characters that just came in every now and then to be funny. I guess kind of like a Gunther.
Come on, Phoebes, you lift right out.
But then I guess they realised how good the chemistry was and how funny those two were.
Yeah.
That they decided to keep them. But I really forget that even the ones I don't think are great actors, like I'm going to call her out here. I think Jennifer Aniston kind of sucks as an actress. But I think she has incredible comic timing. I think that the entire cast is actually very,
She's got
very
good
funny.
comic timing. And, we're skipping way ahead here, but when her and Ross, when they actually break up, like properly break up, that is quite heart-wrenching, and she does that very well. That is the one scene that I always turn to you and I'm always like, that is where I think she's a good actress.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, like you can tell she would have done well on SNL or something like that. Like, obviously not as well as she did on Friends, $1 million an episode.
I like that even in this pilot, we already start with Phoebe singing.
Yes.
Kind of just like alluding to, stuff she does later in the show for so much of the show.
So I remember years ago in our apartment days, when you and I started Friends from the beginning, we would go to the video store, we'd get DVDs.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, and so, because you and I were both nostalgic about Friends, and it had ended by that point.
Yeah.
But only just. and we were nostalgic for it, and we were like, let's watch it from the beginning, like all the way through. So there's because there's
God, I
gaps.
forgot that we did that. I forgot that this was well before the streaming days. We would go and, get the DVDs.
And this was our chance to catch up on the things that went over our head as kids.
Yes.
There were many jokes. I was like, oh, I get that now. I was like, ooh, that's a bit... I can't believe my parents let me watch this. And I remember being really resentful at the end of season 1 that they made Phoebe so much more floopy and stupid in season 2. But actually, no, they kind of lay it on from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's definitely the OG Tree of Life girl. She's got the flowy skirt. She's got the million rings on every finger.
Yeah.
Like, we all wanted to be Phoebes. But the absent-mindedness, I think picked up a bit later.
Yeah.
Having said that, from day 1, episode 1, she is still my hero. As you know, Phoebe Buffay is the person I aspire to be in life at all times, because I am a bit of a Monica. But that line she says when they're like, oh, do you want to come build furniture?
I wish I could, but I don't want to.
I'm like, yes.
It's such a great line.
But think about that. A woman saying that in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could, but I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, easily could have been written off as like the rude bitch of the group. But the way she does it and the way she delivers it and the way they have crafted her, I don't know. I've always admired Phoebe.
Well, here's one of the interesting questions I have about Friends, which you kind of just raised with like the way that it treats its female characters, which I think in a lot of ways was quite progressive.
Oh,
for most of the
time.
series. Now, obviously, this pilot doesn't get into it too much, but Friends can be riddled with homophobia at times.
Oh,
like there are a lot of jokes that are just like
fat phobia,
there's a lot of jokes that are just like, funny because gay.
Yes,
and
you and I turn to each other all the time and we're like, because of gay, it's funny, right?
Yeah. And they don't hold up at all. And like you say, we were kids when we were watching this in the 90s, so I don't even know how much of it was actually funny in the 90s because so much of it just went over our heads anyway.
True.
But I do want to ask about Carol and Susan, which we don't get too much in this pilot. But I feel like it's interesting that as homophobic as Friends can be, it always treated that lesbian relationship as a very real relationship.
Yeah, and I even wrote down what I found interesting was Ross's line, he's come in, he said, hi. And I mean, like, as much as he annoys me, and we will get into that as episodes go on, sure, his marriage is broken up. You feel for him, I guess.
Yeah.
And Joey, is it Joey who says, like, you really didn't know? And he's like, why does everyone fixate on that? She didn't know, so how was I supposed to?
Yeah.
That's a really progressive thing at the time because it's not making the whole,
like she chose to or anything.
Yeah, like she didn't know.
She was discovering who she was.
Part of her. And like, how was he supposed to know either?
I always find that really interesting, that as many jokes as it cracks about, like, homosexual from a male perspective, it always from the very start treats that lesbian relationship as a very real relationship, and I find it very interesting for the time that the show was set. And I do think that not just the lesbians, but like you were saying about Phoebe and the way that she's portrayed, I do think that it treats its female characters for the most part, and there's lots of examples where it doesn't, but there are parts where it treats them quite progressively compared to other shows of the 90s. Like there's
no slut shaming of Monica because she slept with
I was going to say that was a note from the network. The network were concerned.
Really?
Yeah. So they actually polled the live audience to check. They were like, is she being too promiscuous here?
What?
But you know what? To the network's credit, the poll from the audience said, no, I think it's fine. And the network were like, okay, no worries. There's heaps of examples where they would have continued to fight that.
It's fine because it's set in New York City. I guarantee if it was set in some like sweet country town,
Missouri,
they'd be like, no way. Can't have those values permeating.
That was a note from the network with this pilot.
Interesting.
And then I think that kind of set the standard going forward, because from that point on, the show very much is.
I mean, they open up talking about sex and
and of course,
Chandler's
again,
dreams.
we're coming after Seinfeld, where I can't remember if this was after the famous contest episode or not, but Seinfeld kind of broke a lot of those barriers. You look at me like you don't know. Have you not?
The contest episode
where the four main characters have a contest to see how long they can go without masturbating.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, that kind of broke ground, and everything after that point was. But it's nice. Like Monica's colleague is just discussing.
Yeah.
Paul. I mean, obviously he's a piece of shit.
Oh, he is a fucking prick.
Yeah.
What a dog shit thing to do.
And yet, all the guys in the friendship group are like, "Can't believe you didn't know it was a lie."
Oh, that makes me angry.
Yeah.
That's
it's unsurprising.
That's a dog act.
It is a dog act, but that was okay because that's what men did to sleep with women. So, it's really showing its age in some respects like that.
Yeah.
And like her breaking his watch at the end is supposed to be like, yeah, woo, you get your own girl, like fuck him, and it's like break his fucking face. Sorry. Violence is never the answer, except sometimes it is. It's also kind of modern in that, there's a guy talking about how, I haven't been able to perform for 2 years. Obviously, it turns out he's a dog and you might have to bleep that. He's using it as a line, but even just men openly talking about that, like, I don't know if that was progressive for the time. I feel like it must have been. I mean,
again,
America's always saturated with like ads for pharmaceutical ads for like,
yeah.
I
feel like again, you're coming off the back of George Costanza screaming, "I was in the pool."
Yeah, it certainly paved the way.
I have to ask something. You said before about Rachel being like the new one to the group.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pull out a bullshit card here.
Oh.
She should know Chandler. We see in flashbacks in later episodes they spent Thanksgivings together.
Yes.
Like Ross and Chandler were roommates throughout that whole period when he had a crush on her in high school.
Yep.
She should know Chandler.
Yes.
And
but
I'm just calling bullshit. Yeah.
Continuity is not
They
friends.
clearly did not have a show Bible for this show. I don't know if it was before the days of show Bibles or if they were just being lazy. Like the amount of times their birthdays change in this show, not just their age, but there are times where they actually say like the month of their birthdays and they're all over the shop.
Yeah. Which is just rude to the viewers because millennials love star signs, okay? So,
I know.
So fucking respect your audience, mate.
I know. I want to work out their compatibility.
Because obviously Rachel's a Taurus. Obviously.
Oh, 100% she
obviously.
is. 100%.
Yep.
Oh, and so is Joey.
Yeah.
Joey is the Taurusiest Taurus there is, and I should know as
you
a Taurus.
Are a Taurus.
Yeah.
Yep. Monica's clearly a Cappy. She's the best.
Yeah. But so, okay, I want to ask you, because obviously they're all supposed to be, I think, 25 in the pilot.
But their ages change throughout this anyway.
Yeah. So
and they all turn 29 at different points.
Only 2 of the actors were actually 25.
Yeah, Jennifer Aniston, wasn't she? She's the baby of the group.
Jennifer Aniston and...
Monica? Joey?
Matthew Perry.
Oh, actually, sorry. I think I did.
Lisa Kudrow was the eldest at 31. That ancient bitch.
How fucking dare you?
Surprised she's not getting around on a Zimmer frame throughout this episode.
She is a queen. She is my idol. How dare you? I thought David Schwimmer was the oldest.
No, he's 28. He's the third youngest. Courtney Cox is older than him at 30.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I have to say, though, I really want to give credit where credit's due. I think the entire cast is actually really good. I think they all have great chemistry. It's no surprise to me that when they cast this show, Schwimmer was the lead and he was getting the most money at the start because he does stand above the rest of them acting wise. I think it's a little bit like, again, I keep drawing back to Seinfeld, but a little bit like how you could tell that Jason Alexander was like the only real actor on Seinfeld. You can tell, I think, even from this pilot. You don't think you can tell that Schwimmer is like an actual actor?
I think that Matthew Perry does very good at the Chandlering that he does.
Yes, that's true.
Yep. I think Lisa Kudrow does very well at being the Phoebes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like Schwimmer is bringing something else. And there's a lot of little interesting things I noticed this time that I'm like, I wonder if that was a direction or whether that's him doing it.
Well, he did used to apparently take it very seriously. Like he would plan out scenes and think it through. You can see that on the reunion because Matt LeBlanc is like, and I know you would have planned this. Like, which seems like a really sweet friendship. Cause
like there was a really interesting
Matt LeBlanc
moment.
Just seems like such a like dad who's happy to play pranks on everyone, and now he's got the dad bod to Matt. I love him so much. I love him. Me
too. Towards the end of the episode, though, when Ross and Rachel are having their kind of very cheesy, lame moment.
Ugh, yep.
And
so bad.
And he splits the cookie with her.
Yep.
How would you split a cookie?
Well, it's an Oreo, so he splits it the way you split an Oreo.
Well, maybe I'm just an animal, but I would still just crack that bitch in half.
No.
But I thought it was really interesting that not only does he, twist it to separate it, but I don't know if you noticed, he gives her the half with all the cream on it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't take any cream. And I'm like, I've never noticed that before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if that was a direction or whether that was something he chose to do. Because
it could be either.
I know that that's something I would do.
Oh, you would give me the cream side.
100% I would.
I don't believe you for a fucking second. That's bullshit.
Well, I would just go and get you your own damn Oreo.
Yeah, you would.
But if there was only one on the plate, I would either give it to you or if we were splitting it, I would give you the cream side.
No, you would just bite it and then give me the other half.
Again, I'm an animal.
You probably would just finish it and you'd be like, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
But I thought that was a really nice touch.
I noticed that too. And obviously, I mean, this one's obviously very much directional because it's kind of cued for laughter. But him putting her like Splendor or Sweet and Low, whatever it's called, in her coffee cup in the cafe and stirring it for her. Like they're just kind of pushing how much of a bit of a princess she is.
Yeah.
which doesn't change. Rachel is the worst
sucks. She's the
friend.
worst friend. She always has been and always will be.
I really admire her, though, as a character. I like her overall arc.
Yeah. I got to say,
I wish sometimes things ended differently in the show. Controversial, yes, but like as a character and the growth, great.
Yeah.
If she was your friend, she would fucking suck.
Oh yeah.
Does she use the plates? Yes, I believe she does. Like, she'd be the worst fucking roommate.
Yeah. But I got to say, one of the jokes in this episode that made me laugh the most, which is so simple and so stupid, but Rachel forgetting the word for job made me laugh so much when she's like, I'm going to go one of those job thingies.
Yeah,
it really got me. That was a well-written joke.
Well, I don't know if it was well written.
It was well written. That's some clever shit.
Okay. Clever shit.
Yeah.
I thought Rachel's best line was, I'm trained for nothing. Like, when she's like, I didn't get a single job offer today.
I was laughed out of 2 interviews. Yeah.
I was like, the way she just says it, it's so fucking true.
Yeah.
And
at least she's self-aware about it. I thought that was pretty funny.
People still exist like this. Like, there
dude.
are people who are still raising their daughters to just kind of like be pretty, learn how to decorate and interior design. I interior design. What? Dad's office. But yeah, she like in that sense, Rachel's growth as a character. I love. I'm here for it. I have opinions about the way it all ends, but anyway,
Clever
I found the
right
whole episode just really like 90s TV by numbers cringe with a few like standout moments.
There were a couple of really funny moments. Chandler, if I don't input those numbers, nothing's going to happen. That's the other thing I like about this show. I like I'm about to use a word here that should really never be used in the context of Friends.
What?
The diversity of
Lord.
in terms of like their jobs and personality traits, not in terms of anything else.
Not in terms
this
of
is a
actual
very, very,
people.
very white show.
It's so white.
And towards the end, we finally get some people of color, not a lot.
No,
but
she ends up being kind of a villain in the story kind of sense.
It's a very white show.
Yes,
but I do appreciate the diversity in their character traits and stuff. And Chandler being an office worker, it always makes me laugh every time he talks about needing.
And
to
no
put
one knows what he does. And the wieners, and I don't know. It was kind of, I guess, that time in your life when you're not really on a career path yet. You just need a job that pays the bills. Yeah. And I mean, Monica's working in the field she wants to. Ross is. Like, there's many, and they all live in great apartments. We don't actually see the boys' apartments. There's a lot about the show that's very unrealistic, but Chandler having a job that he just fucking hates. Yeah. And like, he acknowledges he is just a small cog in a big machine, and what he does not matter. Yeah. Like, watching that again when we were in our apartment days in our 20s, I was like, mate, I so understand what you're talking about. Yeah. Nothing I do is actually relevant.
Yeah. And that's one thing I really appreciate about this show, because we lost it for a while after this. I think you watch, like I was saying before about sitcoms like Just Shoot Me, where it's gone straight back to being well and truly a situational comedy. This is the situation and that's why it's funny. Or things like Everybody Loves Raymond, where the entire joke is this couple hate each other. They just fucking hate each other.
And their parents live off this. Yeah.
But again, his job is like, it's his dream job. It's what he wants to do and he's great at it. And, like, we got so much more of that. Whereas this, I think, still coming off the back of, again, Seinfeld, where you had, these characters just changing jobs, doing jobs they hated. I think that it works. I like it.
Yeah, Friends is like the sexiest Seinfeld.
Pretty much, that's what it is.
Seinfeld is the
Seinfeld with
Friends.
better looking people.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Did you notice, and like, it's just the pilot, so, no one's fully formed yet, if they ever can be fully formed people. But did you notice how unlikable Joey was? Which is really tough, because Joey is the best friend. Yeah. If you look at, all of their sort of, the way they give to others, Monica's obviously very generous with her apartment, her skills in cooking and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
Joey is by far the best friend.
100%.
Like he is honest when they need it. He is loving. He is caring. He is giving. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. We love Joey. But in this pilot, he is deeply unlikable. He is a pig.
Yeah, he's the least likable of the 6 friends.
Yep.
100%.
And they're really pushing the whole, he's an Italian-American, like New Yorker, like the leather jacket
so he's
and
foreign,
the hair.
and that's why he's awful.
No, not foreign. Nobody in the show is foreign. Yeah, I don't know. Like his lines about strip joint and like that side of Joey doesn't ever go away.
No.
But they really round him out as a person who is not just a sexist pig. And because otherwise, why would any of them keep him around? He is grotesque in that pilot.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I just don't enjoy anything he has to say. Nothing he says is funny.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's completely true. And he has that disgusting hair.
And he's
honestly,
hitting on her.
his hair in this is even worse than Ross's hair. And Ross's hair stays bad the entire series, but Joey's
not the entire
is even
series.
worse here.
Not like it comes and goes, but some kind of grease. Again, this is why Lisa Kudrow is my hero. Sorry, Phoebe in particular. And yes, just while we're talking about, how they start in their relationships, from day one, Ross and Monica are weird.
They're weird. They're weird siblings. I mean, even just the fact that they're maybe this is just showing that we're just not as good friends with our siblings as
you can be good friends with your siblings and still not have an intimate knowledge of their sex life.
Yeah.
That is okay. It is okay to have a boundary with someone you grew up with. That's okay. What the hell?
Yeah. Him knowing that she wants to bang Paul the wine guy is one thing.
Yes.
In a couple of episodes, when she is the one who knows that it is him and Ross and Carol's anniversary of
sleeping
porking,
together.
That's like, why do you know that? Yes. My siblings don't know when we boned. My siblings know we've never boned apart from the 2 times we've had kids, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. Like, obviously, I do think two sisters have very different relationships, and I'm not saying that a brother and a sister can't. Are you
telling me that you and your sister have spoken about my stuff?
Your stuff? Actually, no. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe there's just an element of just growing up and not discussing that with your family.
Because it's weird.
It with your friends
I always find it funny.
I
always find it funny. There's the episode much later on. Again, we're jumping well ahead, but there's the episode with the girl who's close to her brother, and they have a weird relationship. And it's like, Ross, you're a hypocrite, man.
Yes, often,
the amount of times he's just giving Monica a back massage, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing,
or
Ross?
She's sitting on his lap, and I am very close with my little brother, but I feel like that's because he's my little brother.
But even then, you wouldn't sit on his lap.
I wouldn't sit on his lap. Sometimes at family gatherings, I might put my legs across him on the couch, but I still think of him as like my brother's 8 years younger than me. He's like my little baby bro.
Yeah.
I don't know. This Monica and Ross are the standard 2 years apart. I don't know why that makes a difference.
Here's the thing. He has a massive crush on her best friend who's the same age as her. It's kind of weird, man. My sisters are 2. I've got one who's 2 years older, one who's 2 years younger.
You're right in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so funny. I remember once I must have been maybe 12, and my little sister was having a whole bunch of girls over for a sleepover, and I can't remember who it was. There was a family friend who was a creepy older man who was like, you're gonna love having a little sister. It's like gold when they bring friends around.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
What the fuck?
And it's just.
Is this person still in your life?
I honestly cannot remember who it was.
I hope they aren't.
Yeah.
Ew, that's revolting. See, this is what I mean. The 90s was just
It's a different time.
fucking wild.
Yeah.
That people could say that to a young developing boy.
Oh, yeah.
As hey mate, fresh meat. Lots of underage girls to perv on. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And see, that's the kind of that's the kind of stuff that would have flown in a fucking, family values TV show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
Ross telling her, like, oh, he's cute, like Paul the wine guy. Like, he gives her a thumbs up or something, like, he's tall or...
You go get that dick.
It's so weird. Like, if my brother had an opinion on, like, outside of, he treats you right, he treats you, like, either or, like, an opinion outside of that on, like, my partner's looks or dateability or, no, chemistry, yuck, no.
Yeah. Okay, I want to ask you, and maybe I'm going to ask you this at the end of every episode or maybe every 5 episodes or something, I don't know, but I want you to rank the Friends for me as of the pilot right now. After watching this
What's the criteria for ranking?
How much you like them.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry. I was like, why are we ranking people?
Because I'm curious to see how much this changes throughout the series and if we ever hit a point where it just levels out and your favourite is your favourite. And I know that it's hard thinking subjectively because you've seen Friends so many times before, but I want you to do it really just looking at this pilot and their interactions in the pilot.
Okay. Well, obviously Joey's like the worst.
Yeah.
He's a gross sexist pig.
Agreed. He's my least.
Probably the next person up from Joey is Rachel. Like, she's
interesting.
Like,
in the pilot,
she's
Rachel's probably my number 2.
Really?
Yeah,
she's so
I would have.
She rocks up looking for someone basically to stay with who wasn't invited to her wedding. Like, she's got, she just remembers this girl from high school who she was great friends with, and she's like, yeah, you'll take me in. Like, fuck off. That's so fucking rude. She has no way to, like, contribute to the household. She's, like she has no money apart from her, dad's credit cards. Anyway, she's the worst. Next up, I don't know, Chandler, like...
I was going to say, for me, Chandler is my 5. It's Joey, then Chandler at the bottom.
I don't know. I can't even describe why Chandler...
exists.
Not exists.
Why is he there?
I mean, maybe he lives across the hall. Like, they give a reason for it.
Ironically, even though later on he becomes the funny one in the group, I feel like he has the least jokes this episode.
No.
His biggest laugh is... Paul, is it? Which is really not a joke.
Yeah, he's very sarcastic, which, can sometimes just read a bit annoying. But I don't know, him and Ross are on an even playing field for me. So
See, that's so funny. Based on this pilot right now, Ross is my number 1.
What?
I'm all about the Ross, just from the pilot. I really, okay, yeah. We can all relate to that.
Please don't.
I really liked Ross in this pilot. For me, it goes Ross, then Rachel, then Phoebe, then Monica.
How can Phoebe not be your number
Chandler,
1?
then Joey.
How can Phoebe not be your number 1?
She's barely in it.
Well, she's often barely in it. Like, they don't give Phoebe enough to do a lot of the time.
I forgot that it's right in this pilot that we learn about Phoebe's backstory with her mum committing suicide.
Yes. See, this is another reason why Phoebe is such a great character, because obviously the show is very white. Everyone is quite privileged. Like, Jennifer Aniston Rachel didn't go to university because she was privileged enough just to go straight into marriage, and live off her father until then. Monica obviously went to maybe more of like a tech type school, but she's got a good job working in a restaurant. Ross has been to university. Chandler's been to university. Joey's an actor. He'd probably be doing some blue collar work, but he has we don't learn that in the pilot, but he has that core family backup. Like, his grandma does his washing. Like, he's very much nurtured still. And I just love every so often Phoebe casually checking the privilege of all of them. And it's
that's true.
It's seen as a weird thing. Like, the word you're looking for is anyway.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like, fuck off. Actually, like, she's got real trauma. She's had it tough, and she's still a lovely person.
Yeah.
How can Phoebe not be your number 1?
You know what? You've convinced me. Phoebe's my number 1.
Thank you. And she takes no shit from anyone.
Yeah, that's true.
It would be very easy, someone with her life, to be a doormat for other people and to attract the wrong kind of people into her life.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. She's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you got me.
Okay, Phoebe, anyway, sorry, I could talk forever about how Phoebe is my hero. Did you notice how bad the editing already was? It's the pilot. it's the pilot and they already don't give a shit.
Yeah, you know what though? I'm wondering how much of that happened post, because I was reading that after filming, the pilot initially came in at 38 minutes.
Whoa, really?
And so I'm assuming that edit still exists somewhere out there, because obviously for television it had to be edited down to 22.
But it's in the very opening scene. Phoebe delivers a line and then or Monica delivers a line and she kind of reacts to it. And then you get a zoomed in shot.
Yeah.
And Phoebe is actually still delivering that line, and it's almost like they've subbed over the...
Well, yeah, because you know what?
Really
Here's the interesting thing about Friends. Obviously, it was actually filmed in front of a live audience.
Was the pilot?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, okay. So I was actually going to ask you that, because there was a line at one point where...
When Monica is really happy after Paul the wine guy.
Yeah, you look like you slept with a hanger in your mouth. And there's like a vocal guy in the audience who's like, woo! I'm like, what? Shut up.
I was wondering, is that... But obviously, she's talking about a coat hanger.
Yes. But what?
Does something about that read a little gobby-ish, though? Is that a little kind of gob job reference?
Ew, yes, I think it is. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's an innocent reference, and the audience member is a pig.
But that's one of the interesting things about filming in front of a live audience, is that you really are playing off them and how they read things as well.
Which is an integral part of Friends. The audience's reactions.
Oh, yeah.
Build your own reactions at many times.
It's so funny. There's constantly you see people trying to slag shows like this off on YouTube. And actually it can be quite funny when it is a show that's bad, like say The Big Bang Theory, where they post a clip from it and they take the laughs and claps out and stuff to be like, look how unfunny this is without it.
Yeah, of Ross being completely unhinged.
Oh my God, they're fucking hilarious. Where it's just him being like mentally ill.
Later,
yeah.
I'm like, this man just needs to straight up go to therapy.
But I agree with you. I feel like in a show like this in particular, the audience... It adds something for sure.
Apart from that one scene we just discussed, that added nothing and actually took away for me.
And it's not just a cue for you to laugh and be like, oh, that's funny. I do feel like it actually adds to the vibe.
Definitely.
And
especially more later when you're very invested in their relationships, like Monica and Chandler's engagement.
Oh my God,
Spoiler alert, everyone.
Yeah.
Him opening the door and things like that.
So the standard with a live studio audience show like this is 4 cameras. I don't know if this was 4. I'm assuming it was, because that was the standard at the time. Mm-hmm. But it actually does make editing trickier. You would think it makes it easier because you've got more coverage. But because you're doing it so many times and you have so much coverage, you're not caring as much about continuity. Yeah. So then when you edit bits out, I do think it does make the cuts look worse for sure.
I would have thought for a pilot, though, we'd be trying a little harder.
See, but the other thing you got to remember too is that this was originally shown in analog in 4:3.
True.
We're now watching it, in high definition widescreen.
It wasn't a widescreen issue that would have been seen.
Yeah,
the thing I'm talking about.
But they weren't even framing for the outer edges, so it's really funny. Every now and then you'll see very clearly in shots where it's like the actors' stand-ins.
Yeah, right.
And it's just because they're out of frame, but then widescreen they're not.
Yeah, or this has no excuse, but boom mics. How many boom mics over the years have we seen? We could probably count them, actually. Maybe that could be a fun thing we do. Did you notice that the sign wasn't on the cafe window? You know the famous Central Perk and how it's written...
I didn't notice
It's meant to be written backwards, but it's always written as if, it's not there at all.
Wow.
Did you find the set dressing interesting as well? I don't know. I always notice things like that because in a previous life, I think I was a set dresser and it was the best job ever. On a Nancy Myers film in particular.
Yeah.
But I found the set dressing in these earlier episodes much more accurate. There's a sort of, patchwork quilt on the back of Monica's thing, like something your grandmother would have given you that you just moved out with.
Yeah.
There's no fancy, nice furniture that Monica has later. She's living out of home in her 20s. She's got random furniture around.
Yeah.
And then she's fluffed it up with all the girly stuff that you see. You know, there was like potpourri and Monica wants to make potpourri. Like, it was still very much the iconic Friends apartment, but there was a lot more...
I do love the design
deliberate
of that apartment.
clutter.
I love the purple and, like, the frame on the door. Like, I love the look of that apartment. It's just 100%. So comforting.
It's iconic, yeah.
Yeah.
You know that song.
It is
and
iconic. And it's really rare. You know, like, okay, credit where credit's due. I slagged off The Big Bang Theory before. That is another one where I think the set design is actually really good. Like, I can picture Leonard and Sheldon's apartment and it makes sense for who they are.
Yep.
As much as I love Seinfeld, I don't think Jerry's apartment is all that iconic. Like, I mean, obviously the layout of it is very... I feel like I could walk in there and I know where everything is. Like, I know where the kitchen is. But in terms of design and set dressing, I don't think most of it's that special. But yeah, you're right. Monica's apartment. And I think it stays that way through most of the series. Like, I think Joey and Chandler's apartment is also really well done.
Yeah. Oh, the fact that their apartment is just so beige and blah.
Yeah.
And then there's a few cool things like elements of pop culture and stuff. Like, I'm not sure who that's even for because, like, okay, we know Joey's an actor, but sometimes I'm like, Joey's not very cultured. Like,
yeah, from memory, like you said, we don't see their apartment today. Don't they have a Charlie Chaplin poster on the wall?
Yeah, and
yeah, that doesn't seem like Joey's kind of thing.
No, and there's a few other like posters and stuff in the background that they've just used to like dress it up a little so it's not quite so the boys' bland apartment.
Yeah,
until it gets the makeover from Monica. But yeah, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I suppose actually culture is a huge part of Chandler's upbringing.
True. Yeah.
They love to make fun of it, whether, you know,
yeah.
It doesn't need to be made fun of. It's like a perfectly acceptable aspect of his past. And like him knowing the soundtrack to Annie and stuff is not.
Yeah. Guess who I am? I was being Shelley Winters in the Poseidon Adventure.
I know.
All right, so you said that you didn't like the pilot on rewatch.
It's just, I mean, it's a bit like the clip shows. It's never my fave.
I guess we haven't discussed if we're doing this, but I think we should. How are you scoring the pilot out of 10?
Oh, we're scoring each episode.
I feel like we should.
Right, okay. It's middling, 5 out of 10.
Ooh. I'm a 6. I think as far as pilots go, it's fairly strong. I can understand why this became what it did already.
Sure. Okay, sorry. If I was watching it in the 90s with my
10 out of 10. Needs more gay jokes.
No. Like, I would say 7 out of 10. Ooh, there's a love interest that I'm going to follow.
Yeah.
That's all any of us cared about, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, like... Looking back, though, I'm like, this fucking sucks. Yeah. I'm glad it picks up.
Well, thank you for joining us here. This has been a lot of fun. I can't wait until next week when we watch the second episode, and I hope that is better for everybody. Are we going to keep doing this?
I guess so. I don't know. I would, but I don't want to.
Classic Phoebes.
She's my idol.